Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 402 to 403 for the 1st and the 2nd of April. And this is also probably the first time I publish this on the DPA Open Mic channel and exclusively on Rumble. So that's actually not exclusive. So it's DPA Open Mic and Rumble on Rumble, yeah. So the reason is because I got hosted mailed by hackers and I lost control of 2 of my Google accounts. And the 2 Google accounts is linked to the DPA main channel and the DPA war channel. So as a result, you can see that the both channel is kind of not around now. Currently, I'm still in the process of trying to recover the accounts. From research on Twitter, other YouTubers who encountered the same hacking managed to get them back. So fingers crossed. Hope I get them back because I really need my main Google account for work. So I can't work for the whole of Monday. So anyway, let's start with the big news, which is at Bakhmut. Sorry, I was kind of stunned by some of the planes and the helicopters. So at Bakhmut, there's major news coming out from Bakhmut. The Russian forces has captured the administrative building of Bakhmut city, and this is made a massive point by Prigozhin, the boss of the Bakhmut, the WAGNER private military contractors, where he in the middle of the night have traveled with his forces and planted the flag of the Russian and the WAGNER flag on the building itself. Is largely destroyed and is geolocated at this position by Deep State UA. And this also signs that the Russian forces have in the south to middle part, central part of Bakhmut, they have managed to capture over this point. Let me make it thicker. So they have pushed all the way to this point and along this area here. And according to SITREP maps, it's even bigger. They managed to push all the way to the front line in this way. So moving into the details, we have the SITREP maps reporting on the 1st of April that the Russian forces have managed to move north of the city council council hall in an attempt to kind of pincer the hall. Apparently, his information was pretty early because by the time I saw another information, this is also 1st of April by Deep State UA, Prigozhin is already here. According to Deep State UA, on their 2nd of April, they have mapped. So you can see the blue border. This is actually how Deep State UA is mapping, and that the Ukrainians, to them, the Ukrainians still have this point, but they are kind of like getting pushed by the Russian forces in this area here. The information is also from Riba, where there's fighting along Prishina Street as well as Miru Street or Mira Street, and this also seems to suggest that the front line is probably closer to what Deep State UA is reporting, because this actually coincides with what the fighting is here and here. So this is exactly what Deep State UA is reporting. So Riba is kind of mapping it correctly, and so maybe this part here is still under Ukrainian control. In the southwestern part, there is, according to Deep State UA, concentrated push by the WAGNER private military contractors on the Central Street or the Centrina Street. And this is reported on the next day as well, on the 2nd of April, which means the Russian forces is making a major push along this road, the Velicia Centrina Street. So as you can see, this is Velicia Centrona. So this is a street that is in question, and the Russians are pushing heavily in this area here. So according to the way how they describe it, they say that the Russian forces saturate the central street with manpower for further assault. So there's there's probably another major push from this area, and not sure where they will go for. Perhaps they might go and cut off this road entirely and go for the high ground. That could be possible. Or they could actually, you know, also go to the rear and encircle this entire force around here. That is also possible. As you can see, this area is kind of dangerous. The Ukrainian forces in this area do run the risk of getting overrun and encircled. So not a good place to be. In the northern part, we have Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, confirming the loss of the steel plant. So according to them, they say that the loss of a steel plant is now confirmed. Fighting is now in the north of Bakhmut, near the railway station. So according to Surya Map, they reported that they have expanded the area around Azom, and they are moving close to the train station, which is actually here. And Riba also reported similarly that the fighting is now taking place on the outskirts of the railway station. On the 2nd of April, they only mentioned fighting in the north, according to Deep State UA. Riba also mentioned fighting along the Levanevsky Street, or the Valencia Levaniev Koho Street. So in this way, in this area here. So the push, so previously the line was around here, and they managed to push further. And so if you look at the Ukrainian map, this is basically what Deep State UA has mapped. So this is definitely the most confirmed front line the Russians is currently on, and it's kind of very corroborated by the pro-Russian sources and the neutral sources in this area here. And as you can see, the push is currently here. So this force here is going to be in danger if the Russians going to push in this direction. And so situation is looking quite bad now for Bakhmut city. Moving out of Bakhmut city, we have fighting reported at Kromove, according to Deep State UA. Deep State UA has not reported fighting at Kromove for a very long time. So Kromove is this town here. This is Kromove, and usually is Miroshnikov, the pro-Ukrainian source, that was talking about this attack. And this time around, Deep State UA is talking about it, which means there must be a real push here, because Deep State UA is a primary source for DPA, and Miroshnikov is just secondary. So his words have to be taken with a massive pinch of salt. So if there's a major push here, then they might be trying to cut off the retreat route, the only retreat route that is moving out in this direction. So yeah, the intention of the Wagner private military contractor is definitely not going to be good. At Ivanivsky, there is fighting reported by Deep State UA on the 2nd of, actually I put it in reverse. It's actually 2-4, 2nd of April, and there is also fighting reported towards Preteshchiny, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, on the 1st of April. And over in the northwestern part of Bakhmut city, there is fighting reported at Donetsk on the 1st of April, and yeah, but it was unsuccessful because it was just a joke, because it is April's Fool. And in the south of the Bakhmut front, we have a counter-attack by the Ukrainians that managed to stabilize the front line, throwing the Russian forces that was on the offensive around this area back to Ozeryanivka. So so this is one of the rare successes that the Ukrainians have as they push back the Russians back to Ozeryanivka. So moving on from the Bakhmut front, we go on to the next important front line, which is actually at Avdiivka. So at Avdiivka, we have some geolocations. So we have a geolocation of some Ukrainian forces around this area here, which actually shows that the front line is actually more of something like this. So the front line around the south of Avdiivka is extremely unclear. This front line here is extremely not so clear. We are not very sure exactly where the front line is. So this kind of a geolocation too helps a lot. And there's another geolocation of Russian forces at Vasily. This is Vasily. This is a very tiny village here, and there's geolocation of Russian forces at this location. So so moving the general situation now is that there is a fight, there's an attack from Vasily direction. The front line at Stepove has kind of stagnant, and the Russian forces instead is pushing in this direction on the west part of Novobakhmutivka. They are pushing in this direction. So that's a very ugly arrow, so I redraw it. So, and there's a push towards Avdiivka, probably around from Opitne. There's a push towards Siversk, north, fighting north of Vodian, and a push at Pervomaiske. The pace of the offensive seems to be slowing at this moment. For some reason, maybe the Ukrainians reinforced this place very strongly. So on the yesterday, on the 2nd of April, Wogonzo reported there is also operation near the village of Kreminna, and there is also Ukrainian forces fighting towards Novokalinove, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So the Russian forces is pushing in this direction. Probably is more or less the same kind of information. And further south, this information is from Wogonzo, where they say that there's a slight advance from Vasily at the Avdiivka direction, probably in this direction. Not much, I guess. Not something very significant. Over at the southwest and western part of Avdiivka, we have fighting reported towards Avdiivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, fighting towards Siversk and at Vodian. So the previous two was by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Deep State UA reported there's fighting around the area of Vodian on the 1st of April. And on Pervomaiske, there is fighting reported in both days, according to Deep State UA. And in terms of the details of where the fighting is not exactly clear. But as you can see, the Ukrainian front line, it looks like this. So the fighting is probably maybe around this area here. This is the area that is the fighting is actually ongoing, because you're going around. This is actually very open. I don't think the fighting is actually in this area. Unlikely. And that's all from the Avdiivka front. And moving to the next hottest front, it looks a lot like the Kupiansk front. And the Kupiansk front seems to be the Kupiansk and Sviatove front seems to be quite kind of happening suddenly. First, I want to highlight Surya Maps reported that there is a satellite footage by one of these Twitter channels, Syria War or something like this. So that actually shows Ukrainian ground activities. I think convoys moving across all these roads, and that kinds of confirm that the Ukrainians have a presence around this area south of Vyshana. So but this is already what we have mapped exactly as it is. So there's no change to DPA's mapping. And fighting is reported near Voreshna, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. I'm not sure where the fighting is. They say that the disrupted action of DRGs, Ukrainian DRGs, sabotage recon groups near Voreshna. So not sure exactly where that was. And there's also shelling reported at Sinkivka on both days, 1st and the 2nd of April. And then Ukrainian DRGs or recon or recce forces is reported to be operating near Sinkivka. They got contacted by the Russian forces, which means there might be some kind of a push or small attempt to attack or try to penetrate through the Russian lines. Unfortunately, did not work out. Shelling is also reported near Vyshana, in this area here. Probably shelling is around this area. And there is also recce or recon forces operating near Peshestravneve that got contacted by the Russian forces in this area here. And we have shelling reported by the Russian Defense Ministry at Avdiivka on the 1st of April, Kreminna on the 2nd, Novoselivsky on the 1st, and there is a Ukrainian recon forces operating near Stemakivka that got contacted by the Russian forces. Wrong color. Yeah, in this area, but it got stopped. And that's all from the Kupiansk Sviatove front. Moving on to the Kreminna front, we have shelling reported at Makievka on the 2nd of April, at Terny on the 1st, Yampolivka on the 2nd, all the reports coming from the Russian Defense Ministry. At Dibrova itself, we have shelling on both days, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And important to note, on the Russian reports is that they kept emphasizing heavy flamethrower system. So that means there must be some kind of reinforcement in terms of TOS-1, and the VDV, the airborne troop, seems to have also received flamethrower units, the TOS-1. So for those that are not sure how it looks like, it looks actually exactly like a multiple launch rocket system, except that this rocket explodes in high temperature, super high temperature explosions, which burns everything. And there is fighting reported near Kreminna on the 1st, according to Deep State UA, and south of Kreminna, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. The Russian Defense Ministry also reported shelling at Krychorivka as we enter the Siversk front, and there is fighting reported at Bilohorivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Geolocation of Russian forces is at this position, which means the front line is definitely not far, which is this front line makes exactly good sense, which means the Russian forces in this area is pushing more or less together, kind of ignoring the river here. It looks like a full frontal assault towards the Ukrainian position. And further south, we have fighting reported at Okanyamsky, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry on the 1st. And the 2nd, the fighting is likely, in my opinion, in the north or northeast part of Okanyamsky, as per previously noted by other open source information. And further, and no, that's all. That's all from the Siversk front. And moving on, just off the Avdiivka front, we have Ukrainian MiG-29 shot down over Kopjevy. Actually, it's Koptevo, and but somehow the Ukrainians spelled it in some kind of a wonky, magical way, and it makes it impossible to pronounce in English. Kopjevy. So they got shot down at Kopjevy, and there's also a Ukrainian Mi-8 shot down over Novovasilivka, and so again, as usual, is shot down 40 kilometers away from the front line. It's getting very, very consistent. And another thing to note about the shootdowns is that the number of Russian airplanes getting shot down is tremendously low. It's too low. It's much lower than it was in the first half of the war so far, and this is absolutely not good for the Ukrainians, because at this rate, the Ukrainians is going to run out of air force. Although, of course, every time I say that, they start to do reincarnation spells, and and they just use necromancy and bring back all the ghosts of Kiev. And there is fighting reported. So now we are into the Donetsk Front around Marinka and Voleda. We have fighting reported at Marinka. The Ukrainians apparently did some kind of counter attack on the 2nd of April. And then, however, the main bulk of the attack is still largely the Russians doing the attack on the 1st and the 2nd. I put this on the reverse as well. Then so according to the press chief of the Yoke group of forces, they say that they kind of attack with some assault unit with tanks and BRGs, and they attack two strongholds, but the stronghold only have 15 soldiers. So yeah, looks pretty strong. And there is also fighting reported on the 2nd, according to Deep State UA. And moving on to the south of it, into the Voleda region, there is Ukrainian DRGs operating off Mikhailsky, as the Ukrainians are operating around this area here. And they got contacted by the Russian forces, so they are so-called neutralized. I wonder they are acidic or are they based. So yeah, and there is shelling reported around Voleda on the 1st of April. Deep State UA reported fighting east of Voleda, which is pretty interesting. And they say that they are trying to improve tactical position east of Voleda. So probably some kind of push here to put some SOFA because they need to improve the position, right? So yeah. Oh, sorry, it's tactical position. I'm wrong. So they just put some bait over there. Shelling is reported near Shevchenko, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, and that's all from the Donetsk West Front. I think let's call this Donetsk West, because this don't really have a good name. And moving on to the Zaporizhia line. At the Zaporizhia line, for those that are new to this channel, Zaporizhia line actually consists of 4 major strongholds: Kayamsky, Orekhiv. Actually, I should use the blue color. Yep, Kayamsky, Orekhiv, Huyai Pole, and Velika Novosirka. And this forms one line. And it also looks like a fishball on the stick, which they didn't really push in, the fishball. And so this, why is the important is because there is a major road from Zaporizhia all the way to the Eastern Front, and if this is broken, then they cannot use this road, and this will complicate reinforcement and the war effort on the Eastern Front. And this also allow the Russian forces to continue to push northward and cut off another vital lifeline through Pavlograd from Dnipro. And if they lose these 2 roads, any reinforcement going to the Eastern Front will be basically disastrous, very, very hard. As you can see, this is the only main road. This is the other main road from Dnipro and Zaporizhia. Anything from the north is going to go through Izium and go through Sloviansk. Is going to be one hell of a big route around. Yeah, so that's the reason why this line is pretty important. But the Russians doesn't seem to be interested to push forward just yet. Shelling is reported at Orekhiv on the 2nd of April, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. They also reported shelling at Dorozyanka on the 1st and at Levadne on the 2nd of April. The Ukrainians reportedly attacked Vishnevy or Vishnevoye on the 2nd of April, and but it was just a recon force, so yeah, probably just looking for weak spots. And that's all from the Zaporizhia line. And did I cover everything? Looks like it. So for those that are watching on Rumble, do press the subscribe or follow. I actually forgot what Rumble's use. Yeah, do subscribe to the Rumble. And if you are watching this on the YouTube, on the DPA Open Mic channel, welcome to the DPA Open Mic. Why have you not subscribed to DPA Open Mic until now? Yeah, I'm very disappointed. So press the like button, subscribe if you have not subscribed. If you can, subscribe on both sides. Shit like this happens. Especially, I'm not towing the MSM, the mainstream media's narratives. I'm not sure what will happen. This time round, this is on me. I didn't turn on the air defense, and I allowed the hacker VDVs landed on my hostel and treat me to eat hot dogs. So I have no choice but to wait for them to catch the dogs. So yeah, so thank you for watching. Do press do remember again, press the like button, subscribe, share this everywhere. Help to inform all the other DPA army members, DPA army soldiers, to let them know that they can still watch the SITREP, just that it's now on DPA Open Mic and the Rumble, and it had always been on Rumble anyway, until I can get back the Google accounts. So fingers crossed, pray for me. If you want, you can harass Google to quickly give me back my accounts. I really need my email account for work, and I'll see you in the next update.